Hello everyone and welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to another 24/7 news report. The headline news today comes from Manchester City channel/news site Esteemed Company, and it's that Everton are one of the clubs that are keen on signing Manchester City's Oscar Bobb. The 21-year-old Norwegian winger only played 3 games in the 24-25 season after recovering from his broken leg. Yeah, that's it really. Bob's an interesting one, really young, really talented. It looked like Pep wanted to give him a run in the side, but at the end of the day he did suffer that injury, which did lead to him missing a majority of the campaign and only getting, I think, like I said, 3 games there and even less limited minutes. But he seems to be a really talented dribbler, good on the ball, one of those players that has a good strike on him as well, which I think he has a lot of the profile in what Everton are looking for, and it seems like the wingers we've been linked to the past couple of weeks really has changed a little bit since the Tom Fellows mould, which was more get the ball, whip it in, get assists. Now we're seeing players like Ben Doak and Oscar Bobb, who are players that feel like they can impact the game more inside of the box in terms of scoring goals. I don't think Fellows is a bad player. Of course, he showed it on the last day of the season that he can score goals. But I feel like these two are more developed goal-scoring wingers. And that is understandable when you look at the strikers we've been linked to in Tiano Barry and Nick Voltemade as well, who like to get involved in the final third. Barry has a tendency to come in and drift out to the wing to receive the ball. Voltemade does the same thing. If you watch Germany versus Portugal, you'd have noticed that. So it does seem we're getting those wingers who are able to overlap these strikers, get into the box and get into dangerous positions to potentially score goals. But it depends what Man City had asked for. And then if it was a loan, for example, I think we could get a better player on a permanent, to be completely honest with you. I understand he's young and he has worlds of potential, but I think we are looking for someone who can contribute now and who can contribute to rising us up the table now. I think Bob could do that in a sense, don't get me wrong, but coming off a broken leg as well, it's quite unreliable. It can affect the psyche of a footballer quite a lot, you know. Do you really want to charge in on the attack and dribble past players after you suffered a broken leg? You know, you look at how much it derailed Andre Gomez's career, where I think he was going really well for Everton until that broken leg, and then he'd fallen off a little bit, but I think he was still at a decent level, and then all of a sudden it curtailed off from there. So hopefully that doesn't happen with Bob. I'd be happy if we signed him, but it depends. Are City willing to let him go on a permanent? Is the fee reasonable, or is it just a loan? And then if that's the case, I'd rather we go sign a winger on a permanent, and look at loans in other positions. Bob as a backup winger, someone who rotates in and around the squad, I think that would be fantastic on a loan. But if he's going to be our starting winger, I want us to get that right winger in permanently and not have them in on a loan, to be honest. The next news comes from Liverpool news site Empire of the Cop, and it's that Everton holding an interest in Liverpool centre-back Joe Gomez. Newcastle, Aston Villa, West Ham, Bournemouth, Leeds United, Burnley and Sunderland are all said to hold interest. Joe Gomez is an absolute no for me. Do I think he's a good Premier League centre-back? Yeah, I think he's too good to be a backup, to be honest. I think he could be starting for a decent level side, but really, really injury prone. Only played 77 games in the past 5 years, with only 38 of those being starts. And he's been at Liverpool for 10 years now. He's, you know, embedded in that DNA now, and, you know, do you really want to make that switch across the city, you know, to join Everton when you've spent what's coming up to be 10 years at Liverpool? Is he reliable enough? You know, is it the wages he's going to want as well to be probably 4th choice centre-back? You know, there's all these choices we have to make, and I just, again, think we'd be much better suited for that 4th centre-back role, getting someone younger to develop, because I think Tarkowski's got plenty of experience. I think Branthwaite's got enough experience now where it's not an issue, and I think O'Brien's calm enough and composed enough where he's going to have similar to Branthwaite, where he's not going to need as much experience as most players to develop to the role he wants to be, because he's so calm, composed, he's a fast learner. I just don't see a world where Joe Gomez is a good signing for us unless Liverpool are willing to get rid of him and he's willing to join for like stupidly low money, like 5 million. Then I can kind of understand it, but anything more than 10 million, to be honest, I think is a waste, because you can't even you can barely get a reliable 20 starts out of him. You know, if I have a look here, I don't think he started 20 games. I don't think he started 20 games in like the last 10 years. No, sorry, yeah, 29 COVID in 1920 when Liverpool last won the league was when he last made 20 starts, and that was only 22. So, you know, at the same time, he's just completely unreliable. It's a no from me. Give Me Sport have reported that Everton are now more likely to pursue a deal for Sean Longstaff rather than the other reported midfielder target, Tom Soucek. Very unreliable news, to be honest with you. With the amount of midfielders we've been linked to, I don't see them two being our only two. I think both of them would be crap signings. Longstaff maybe as a rotation option, but I think we should be looking at someone to start in James Garner's position and then have James Garner as more of a rotational piece. To be honest, I like James Garner, but I think we can get better in that second defensive midfielder position, and then that makes some room for someone like Harrison Armstrong and Timmy Robenham to go out on loan and develop further, because I think both of them do need some further development. And if we can have Garner, Gay, someone else, and then maybe Josh Brownhill on a free, for example, I think it'd be just a much better option than getting someone like a Sean Longstaff or a Soucek, to be honest. Especially since West Ham won 20 million for Soucek and he's on the wrong side of 30. It's just no for me, and I just think Longstaff, he's just bang average, isn't he? There's nothing wrong with that, but he's just the definition of average, really. Thai Paper Sport have reported that Everton are tracking Genoa forward Albert Gudmundsson. The 27-year-old wants to move to the Premier League and scored 8 goals on loan at Fiorentina last season. We ran a poll about this on the Twitter, which was Albert Gudmundsson to Everton. Leave us your thoughts, which received 1,100 votes. So thank you to everyone that did vote on that. 18% of fans said that they take him. 46% of fans said that they're not sure. And 36% of fans says they won't. I hope the maths has added up there, because it may not have, and I may look very stupid if it hasn't. Gudmundsson's interested. He's a versatile player who can play across the front line, even in a number 10 position. Pretty limited minutes in Serie A, but he has scored a few goals for Fiorentina, and but the numbers don't look fine. As a number 9, his numbers look quite good, but on the attacking midfield / winger roles, it doesn't really look that promising. If he's really cheap, I'd take him as a rotation option. Someone who Moyes can bring off the bench in multiple positions, so therefore he could be really dangerous. But at the same time, I just look at him and just think, yeah, you know, no offense, but you're all right. Yeah, you'll be cool, maybe, but to be honest with you, that's the furthest I can get with it, really. I don't know much about him. If you do know more about Albert Gudmundsson, let us know in the comments down below. From what I've seen, he looks like a pretty decent player who could be a good rotation option if, I believe it's Genoa, the club he's currently at, are willing to part with him on a cheap fee, but we'll have to see. And the last bit of news comes from Ben Jacobs, and it's that Chelsea are not expected to make a move for Jared Branthwaite. No surprise with the news that came out that Branthwaite's happy to stay and isn't going to push for a move, which means Chelsea would have to pay full price. Chelsea are already planning on probably spending a ton this window, and it looks like they are looking at Hato from Ajax. Good news for us. We get to keep one of the better centre-backs in the Premier League for another season and hopefully push up the league with him. But that is all for this video. If you did enjoy, please make sure to like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at Everton Newsfeed and follow myself on Twitter at CallumBrannan3. And I'll see you all for the next video and our live stream that I am on. Goodbye, everyone.